return to Colors in the Sky, a Wood TV8 special presentation.
There are many ways to show your appreciation for ballooning, such as wearing a balloon pin like Jeannie Sanborn of Battle Creek. You can also trade in cards like this one, the Pontiac. The pilot of the Pontiac, Phil Glebe, is ranked among the top 5 in the world. We had a chance to ride with Phil, and now so do you.
The sun is just peeking over the horizon, and already Phil Glebe's hard at work. Runner-up in last year's World Championships in Battle Creek, Phil hopes to add this year's World Invitational to his list of credits.
What we typically do is we let go little helium balloons, little pieballs we call them, before we fly, and we track them with a compass. It gives us an idea of the direction of the wind at different altitudes. And knowing what it's doing at altitude, we can jockey our position up and down to catch the winds that we think are most favorable for where we want to go.
And where they want to go is someplace where the winds will carry Phil back to the target at W.K. Kellogg Airport.
Whoops. There's a lot of things that you look at, you watch things happening on the ground in terms of flags and trees and stuff to see what the winds are doing on the ground. You watch the other competitors at different altitudes to see what kind of wind directions they're getting. It's just a constant, you make up a game plan and then you just constantly change it as the flight goes.
One big problem, a change in the wind forces Phil far off course and far away from the target.
And you put a lot of work into it, and when it doesn't go exactly as you plan, of course you're frustrated by it. But this afternoon's another day. So we'll be back. They're long days, but we'll be here for all of them, and the week's young.
Believe it or not, traffic tie-ups can become a problem during a world-class balloon championship. Chase crews and spectators follow the balloons, and the balloons lead them to some nasty traffic jams. Rural roads become clogged with cars and trucks, and since the drop site is often an intersection, observers and scoring officials spend much of their time directing traffic while trying to keep track of markers. Just another part of the World Balloon Invitational in Battle Creek.
As we've shown you, there are a wide variety of balloons here, some for competition and some for fun.
What you may not know is there's an Ann Arbor company that's considered one of the best balloon makers in the world.
Ballooning has changed a lot since it was first invented by the Montgolfier brothers in France way back in 1783. Today, balloons are made of high-strength, high-tech materials while relying on low-tech ways of putting it all together. This is the sewing area of Cameron Balloons of Ann Arbor, one of the most successful makers of both shaped and competition balloons in the world.
We have a reputation for building a very rugged, durable race car.
Whether it's for racing or a special shape, designing a balloon begins and ends with a computer. The design is then converted to inches and feet, and each section of the balloon is transferred to a paper pattern. A high-strength material is rolled out, sometimes several layers thick, and the material is then cut according to the outline on the pattern. The pieces, which represent cross-sections of the balloon, are numbered before going on to the next step. Some very low-tech sewing machines using very strong thread and nylon webbing combine the sections to create a colorful work of art. Now, obviously, what we've just described to you in less than 30 seconds takes much longer to complete, anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the size of the balloon. But time is not an issue when you're building balloons for competition.
4 of the last 5 U.S. national champions have been flying Camerons. I think half of the top 10 have been consistently Camerons.
Including most of the balloons floating in the skies over Battle Creek.
While the materials that make up the balloon envelope are high-tech, the basket is much less so.
And whether you're flying for competition or flying for fun, rattan is the material of choice.
Despite modern technology, it's still the best material for building baskets. It has a great strength-to-weight ratio, but more importantly than that, it gives. When you come in on a windy landing, you want a basket to flex, and so rattan is still the best material. It's very rigid when you get it. You have to soak it in these tanks for anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, sometimes overnight, to get it supple enough to weave. Once you've woven the rattan, it dries out again and becomes very firm, very rigid, and yet under pressure it will still bend. I don't think there are any schools where you can go to learn building hot air balloon baskets.
We call it carnival cuisine. Everything from iced cappuccino to barbecue at this year's World Balloon Invitational and Air Show. And a look at life inside the cockpit of an acrobatic stunt pilot. These stories and more coming up later in the show.
You may ask yourself, why would anybody climb aboard a biplane?